What's up, guys? Welcome to this episode of Form Check Friday. Unfortunately, we didn't get one out last week. I do apologize for that. Hopefully you guys can forgive us given the 8 days of form checks that we did the week before. I don't know. We are traveling right now. We're in Toronto. We did a seminar yesterday at Fortis Fitness and the day before at APS in Barrie. We've been filming some really cool stuff with Omar. Mike's here, Mr. Silent Mike, Mike Farr. So yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff coming your way. And we're gonna take you through the city of Toronto with us a little bit as we form check today. So our first submission here comes from Sebastian. Now Sebastian in his first video is doing some squats. A couple things I want you to try and do, Sebastian, here. Number one, when you hit the hole, there's a couple things happening, a couple things becoming apparent. Number one, that bar position is quite high. What I would try to do, and I would try to move that bar down your back even just an inch or two. I think that's gonna limit how much it rolls forward. And the other thing that I would do is I would try opening your stance up a little bit. It looks like as you get into the bottom, your trunk is kind of running into your quads and causing you some issues in the hole, causing you to really have to fold, and it looks like you might be a little bit shy on depth. So let's take those couple of things into consideration with your squat. Sebastian also sent in some deadlifts here. Now, honestly, man, your deadlifts look pretty damn good. You got a nice, good, consistent back angle, but one thing I'm noticing is you're very much going forwards toward the bar. This tells me that you're likely a little too far on the forefoot or on the ball of your foot, the front of your foot. And what I'd like you to do is as you get to the knees and upwards, I'd like you to try to stay back a little further on your heels and bring that bar into you instead of letting it pull you forward. We'll see you guys real soon. What's up, guys? We're back for the second form check today. This one comes from, was it Pedro? Pedro. And he submitted his deadlift here. We got a special guest, Taylor Shadgett, and you guys are gonna know who the F he is very soon if you don't already. And I'm gonna let Taylor take it away. He's doing some sumo deadlifts here. And what do you think, Taylor?
So Pedro, first off, congrats on hitting the new PR. That's always super fun. The biggest things for your deadlift, I want you to work on pulling the slack out of the bar, using the weight of that bar to pull your chest through, extend that upper back into a nice position. And then I think you're pulling your hips a little bit too low, which is pulling your hips or your shoulders behind the bar, which is when you initiate drive off the floor, it's making your shoulders come forward, losing that upper back position a little bit. From there, just really focus on extending that upper back, stay nice and patient off the floor, and yeah.
Cool. I mean, I definitely agree with Taylor's assessment here. I think, like Taylor said, the biggest thing is gonna be pulling the slack out of the bar. So making sure that you're kind of easing yourself into the bar. There's a big disconnect between before you pull the bar and when you start to pull the bar, and like Taylor said, that's really pulling your shoulders out of position. I think that's the number one thing leading to kind of all the other things going wrong up the chain, leading to your shoulder blades getting out of position and leading to that kind of extra little bit where you're kind of forcing yourself through at lockout. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out, Pedro. And I'd like to thank Taylor for being on the form check. We're gonna have some more special guests coming up right away. Well, guys, our next form check submission comes from Haniel and is brought to you by some pub on Queen Street. But basically, Haniel sent in a video of him doing some squats, and he's worried that he's leaning forward too far, that he's maybe got what he calls a quad weakness. Now, I think that in this case, Haniel, you're definitely overthinking things, man. I think you're arching your back too hard. I think you're trying to stay too upright. And I think that if your perception is that you're leaning forward still, you're pretty off the mark with that assessment of it. Not to try to be rude, but just try to be straightforward with you. I think that I would like to see you arching your back less. I would like to see you allowing yourself to lean a little bit more. I think you're breaking or losing some spinal stability and some positioning with that excessive arch in your back. And I think that if you tuck the ribs down a little bit, allow yourself to lean forward just a natural amount. You're definitely not tipping forward. I mean, you're one of the most upright squats I think that I've seen submitted for Form Check Friday. So I would like you to allow yourself to lean forward a little bit more and definitely work on trying to brace a little harder. I think your squat technique overall is really, really good, but I think if you fix those couple things, I think it's gonna go a long ways for you. So our next video submission comes from Gilas. And Gilas sent in a bench and a deadlift video. Taking a look at the bench real quick. Honestly, the only real issue here, bar path looks good, but you're keeping your elbows a little bit too tucked as the bar comes back. What I would recommend you try to do is, as the bar moves back over the shoulders, allow the elbows to flare out a little bit. The only thing you want to be cautious of is if the elbows flare out, we don't want to see that shoulder going into internal rotation and losing all that good positioning in your shoulder blade. But that's one thing that's going to allow you to keep your elbows under the bar as it moves backward. As far as the bench press video, or sorry, the deadlift video that you sent in, everything looks really, really good. I think you do a little bit better job of keeping the shoulder blades locked into position. You'll notice as you initiate the lift off the floor, the scaps just kind of creep forward as you start. But you don't really lose your back position, which is kind of, you know, the bigger picture idea there. So I would say try to keep those shoulder blades locked a little bit better on the deadlift and let the elbows flare as the bar comes back over the shoulders in the bench press. Hopefully that helps, man. What's up, guys? We made it home safe and sound. It's a little cramped on the last flight there. There's a guy next to me dabbing and sliding, falling into me, falling asleep. But it's all good. We're here now. We learned a lot. Super glad to have that opportunity with Mike and Omar. We got to travel around, see a lot of Toronto, and that was great. So our last submission today comes from Terry. And Terry's doing some sumo deadlifts. Let's get this thing going. So, the biggest things that I'm noticing with your deadlifts here, Terry, are number one, your low back is just a little bit rounded out. And I think that's a function of trying to get your feet and your stance too wide. So you can see from the side angle, there's a little bit of rounding just in the very, very low back. Now, if we go to more of a side angle here, a front angle, we can see that your heels are significantly outside of your knees. And as you initiate the pull, we're seeing the knees cave in. We're seeing some knee crash there, which is much, less than ideal. What I'd like to see, and you mentioned do I have any advice for helping you pull max width sumo? And honestly, I just think you might not be built for max width sumo. You might be better off bringing your stance in a little bit so we have better stacked joints, so we're not seeing that collapse, and so we're able to get the hips behind you a little bit more and get that last little bit of extension. So those are the biggest things that I would worry about. I wouldn't worry about trying to go max width just for the sake of going max width, because I think you're gonna be less strong there. I don't think that you're built for max width, at least it doesn't look like it, because of your inability to maintain enough external rotation in your hips. And this isn't a fault of yours, it's maybe not even something that you can fix, but I would definitely recommend playing with a narrower stance and seeing if that helps, because I think a narrower stance, even if it's 3/4 of an inch more range of motion, I think in the long run it's going to keep you further from injury. It's going to allow you to progress higher and give you a higher ceiling on your strength, and I think it's definitely going to be worth it. So anyways, guys, thanks for coming along with us through our sort of form check throughout Toronto. Next week we have a very, very special guest on our form check. We were able to get one in with a secret guest that will be revealed next week. And yeah, look forward to a lot more of these. We're probably going to be changing the format of these form checks, just in terms of how we get the submissions and which submissions we use, simply because we have so many backed up. We might switch to kind of more of a lottery system, and that might just kind of have to be how it is. We'll get some sort of random number generator or something to pick out a number between 1 and whatever our oldest submission is. So that is it for today, guys. Like I said, thanks for coming along with us. Any questions, comments, leave them in the comments section below. Make sure to leave a like on the video, hit subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this, and we will see you guys next week for Form Check Friday.